But that's because DNA tests only go back a couple thousand years, which means two things. White people were black 2,000 years ago.
Humans alive today can trace their lineage back to one single Eve gene, mitochondrial Eve.
We're the only race who have zero Neanderthal DNA. Did you know that? Africans are the only true
story. But that's not the truth. The truth is, Africa is the first face of the earth, and blackness is the source of all biology.
So a white guy is calling out his fellow white people and telling them that Africans or black Africans are the only true humans on this planet Earth. We are not mixed with anything, no Neanderthal, nothing. We are not mixed with anything. Black Africans are the true human beings on this earth. And there are other videos that is actually proving this, and I'll share them with you. Don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe. You don't lose anything by liking. Just give the video a thumbs up, comment whatever you think, share, and subscribe.
Anybody else notice that you can be 100% black, but you could never be 100% white? When I say black, I just mean Homo sapien. I just mean human. Black people, African people, are the only people in the world, in the entire world, that are 100% Homo sapiens, never mixed with any Neanderthal blood. This is the reason why if I take a DNA test, or any other white person does, they are going to have a percentage of African in them. Now, if an Asian person or a Native American person takes a DNA test, it could just say 100% Asian, 100% Native American. But that's because DNA tests only go back a couple thousand years, which means two things. White people were black 2,000 years ago. We were African, and it wasn't that fucking long ago. And two, that means 2,000 years ago, there were Asian people. There were Native American people. We can prove that. But if you go back tens of thousands of years, if you go back even further, even they will have the common ancestor, which is the African. This is why I believe white supremacy is fucking stupid. You're proud of something that could never be 100% achieved. There's no such thing as a 100% pure blood European. Everybody was mixed with Neanderthal and Denisovan DNA, except for black people. African people are the only true humans in this world.
Did you know that black people only have 0.3% Neanderthal DNA? Every other race on the planet has 1 to 2%, and black people have 0.3. So in reality, black people are more human than any other race on this planet. These white supremacists going around saying that they're the peak human, no, sweetheart. Genetically, black people are the superior humans.
The name of our race is Anunnaki. The name of our race is not human. So when our black people say that we're gods, yes, you are gods, because God is a human word for Anunnaki. God is a human word for Anunnaki, and Anunnaki is a black woman who created herself.
Alright, racists, let's talk about the truth. There is so much discourse lately about who is native and who is indigenous, and even the nerve to bring up who is the architect of soul food. And what everyone needs to understand is that black people are the earth. Black people are the only unmutated humanity. They told you humans came from Africa like it was a migration story. But that's not the truth. The truth is, Africa is the first face of the earth. And blackness is the source of all biology. Everyone else? Genetic drift, mutational echo, survival glitches adapted to ice and exile. Let's talk origins. The black woman is the womb of the world. Forget the Eve in the garden story. That was a stolen metaphor. The real Eve lives in the woman's mitochondria. And not just any women. Melanin-rich, thick-hipped, thick-lipped, and copper-toned. Elegant, poised, literally perfect, planet-rooted black women. White women don't carry the full ancestral genome. Asian, Mexican, and Native women only carry fragments. Black women carry the total code. She doesn't reproduce diversity. She births the whole species. When small African offshoot groups migrated north, they weren't evolving. They were mutating, adapting to survival, not thriving. That's where lighter skin, narrow nostrils, reduced melanin, and behavioral changes began. All signs of environmental stress, not superiority. You don't get white by evolving. You get white by forgetting the sun. And that forgetting is not advancement, it's regression. The white genome contains 1 to 4% Neanderthal DNA. Let me repeat, they didn't just descend from humans. They were cavemen. Black people have 0 Neanderthal admixture. That's not a joke. That's biology. Black people are the originals. Non-black people are the remix. The problem is, the remix decided to express its evil nature by attempting to erase the original track. Let's talk indigenous. The term indigenous was invented by settlers to decide who was native enough to be managed, named, and displaced. But indigenous is a political term, not a genetic one. And political terms can't overwrite blood memory. Being first on the continent does not make you first on the planet. However, black people being first on the planet means they are first on every continent. The black genome is Earth's source code. Everyone else is just running a copy of their biological operating system. The war against black genetics is a war against humanity. Melanin isn't pigment, it's the processor. It's the molecule that translates solar energy into life. Plants have it, animals have it, humans need it. Black people have the highest concentration of it, which means black people don't just live on Earth, they translate it. They are not just a race, they are the root species. Black isn't a color, it's the motherboard. Every other group, adaptations, mutations, and mistakes. This isn't supremacy. This is truth. Black people didn't come from Africa. Africa came from black people.
Every person alive today is connected to one African woman. She's been named mitochondrial Eve, and according to science, she is the most recent woman who is related to every single living human. In 1987, a group of genetic scientists tested 147 people from all over the world and ethnic spectrum and came to the conclusion that all humans alive today can trace their lineage back to one single Eve gene, mitochondrial Eve. This was identified when the geneticists analyzed the subject's mitochondrial DNA. She's believed to have been alive in East Africa around 200,000 years ago. And the unbroken line of descent connecting all living humans to the Eve gene is exclusively passed down through women. Meaning, contrary to popular belief, mothers and daughters carry the family lineage. And she was a real woman. Other women existed too, of course, but their maternal lines eventually ended because, according to science, they either only had sons or their daughters didn't have children. So life today didn't just start in Africa, it started with an African woman.
Why are God's chosen people? Why are God's chosen people? The original people. The first people. African people. The only true Homo sapiens on Earth. I don't know if you know this. We're the only race who have 0 Neanderthal DNA. Did you know that? Africans are the only true organic human beings. Every other race has Neanderthal DNA except you. The African woman is the only woman who has the mitochondrial DNA, the original DNA structure of the first woman on Earth, Queen Mother Eve, who gave birth to everybody. You're the only one who has that. The Chinese woman don't have the mitochondrial DNA. The Arab woman don't have the mitochondrial DNA. The East Indian ain't got the mitochondrial DNA. The Anglo-Saxons ain't got the mitochondrial DNA. So here's my question. If we are the original, why do I even want to enter a prayer house with somebody who don't even like me?
Because the oldest people on the earth in every part of the planet, even in Europe, Asia, Australia, Africa, America, they are all melanated beings. Going down to the Peking man of Asia, the oldest people are fully African. Going to England, Cheddar man, 10,000 years ago, the oldest man, are African. Going into Russia, the oldest remains are African. The oldest remains of Italy, right? African. In Romania, and also in America, Lucia being an African woman, African people, we are the original people of the planet. And other people just came about 6,000 years ago. But it wasn't through evolution, it was through genetic engineering.
You can't produce us. It's a mathematical, genetic impossibility. So if you were the first, we couldn't have got here. So the black man has in himself the whole range of color, because black is not a color. It is the essence from which all color comes.
Human, true modern human with our brain case, etc., is an African woman about 140,000 years old. She has all the genetics, all the genes rather, of the human race. Then you have the African fanning out. African goes up into Europe. The transformation occurs about pink skin, and then the ice would produce the long hair, you know, retention of long hair or the long hair follicles, etc. African is not only the first hominid, he's also the first human. Okay, the hominid is not completely human like us, but then comes the first human with our brain case. That's also African. And this begins to change about 55,000 years ago in Europe, where you get Africoid types becoming Caucasoid types, where you have what is called as Cro-Magnon man. This is the what we crudely call today white man, as against what we crudely call today black man. Okay, they're really just human beings. Okay, but they undergo superficial changes, skin changes, etc. And later on, you would have other changes like the narrow nose in ice versus the broader nose in heat. But you'd have the narrow nose also in dry heat. So that you would have superficial changes in the face of man, related nothing to his intelligence, his brain, or anything, related to the environment, the amount of sun, the kind of food you eat in particular environments, the kind of qualities of heat, qualities of cold, etc. That pink African is the beginning of the European. Now, the pink African also started to undergo certain changes, like ice produces a narrow nose. The parts of Africa, you have Africans with narrow noses too, because dry heat produces the narrow nose. So that man is one. There are no races really. You have the African as the beginning of the human race, but the others are mutations. They're not races in the true sense of the word. Race is a social concept. That was to come later. And after the slave trade, when Europe conquered Africa, etc., then blackness and color became associated with being in a low position, so that therefore colors and races became associated with certain things. Those are things that are going to pass as we recover our history and transform ourselves. But initially, you have the pink African who becomes the European. He undergoes certain changes over a period of time. For example, in the ice, it's important to have long hair to protect the neck from cold. In heat, it's important that you have short hair follicles so that heat can escape.
This is a skull of a modern human, and this is from a Neanderthal. Look closely and you can see that this one has a slightly longer brain case. Most scientists believe that these are two separate species, and there wasn't much interaction between the two. But now we know there was interbreeding, and that all non-Africans living today are part Neanderthal. The researchers extracted DNA from Neanderthal fossils and compared it with that taken from people living today. They found that the DNA of Europeans and Asians is Neanderthal.
It's a very exciting discovery because it gives us really the first strong evidence that there was interbreeding with people like the Neanderthals. And it means that modern humans in different parts of the world may have slightly different mixes.
You know, if you want to make a strong argument, you might argue that non-Africans today are Neanderthals who just have waves and waves of modern humans from Africa mixing with them. Like, who are the ancestors? So that might sound like a silly kind of philosophical statement, but like genealogically, I don't know if this happened before or after my books. You probably don't know about this, but there was a super interesting series of papers that came out which made it clear, many things became clear, but one of them was that actually the proportion of non-Africans' ancestors who are Neanderthals is not 2%, which is the proportion of their DNA in our in our genomes today, if you're a non-African person, it's more like 10 or 20% of your ancestors are Neanderthals. And what actually happened was when Neanderthals and modern humans met and mixed, the Neanderthal DNA was not as biologically fit. And the reason was that Neanderthals had lived in small populations for about 500,000 years since separating from modern humans, which had lived in larger populations, and had accumulated a large number, thousands of slightly bad mutations, such that in the mixed populations, there was selection to remove the Neanderthal ancestry. And that would have happened very, very rapidly. It's not even obvious that non-Africans today are modern humans. They're just, maybe they're Neanderthals who became modernized by waves and waves of admixture.
Modern humans have a certain percentage of Neanderthal DNA in our genome. Everyone except Africans, of course. Doesn't that mean that Africans are the only pure humans on Earth? Now it makes sense. Maybe that's why they're the most hated humans on Earth, because they're the purest human on Earth. So that means they were created first, and everyone else just split and went around. Split from Africa and went around and made it with the Neanderthal. Oh man, that's crazy. That's crazy. You know, a lot of the black people may have it in us too because of the, some of us have white in our blood, some of us have Indian in our blood, and other things too. I know they say the East Asians have a lot of Neanderthal DNA, and well, not a lot, but they have some. And the Europeans have a lot. So, white people basically, they have a lot. I'm not trying to be funny, y'all, but I'm just saying, hey, there's something to think about. Maybe that's why they are so hateful and they hate everybody. Maybe that's why they hate everybody. I don't know. I'm just saying. Oh man, the only pure humans on Earth are the Africans. Get them people respect, man. Get them respect. They the only true humans on Earth, man. And everybody would be like, oh, they not a human, or they subhuman and all that. They the only pure human. I mean, everybody else got Neanderthal DNA in them, man. That is crazy, dog. That's crazy.
I think this is something that has been said a lot of the times, and Africans and Black Africans, we know that we are the true humans. One thing that I don't like, or I am not happy about, is that we are not teaching these things in school unless you grow up and you get to read and learn by yourself. These are things that I think right from our schools in Africa, we should begin to teach our kids for them to know who they really are. But we don't. Like when you go to school, they will ask you to find X, find Y, do this, solve some equation, a whole lot of things. We don't learn about our history. Even the history that we learn, it starts with when colonization began. That's nothing about our lives before colonization, and that is the saddest part for us. We are not teaching some of these stuffs. I don't know why, because the African child, I think, should know some of these things growing up, so that they will begin to know who they really are, and also not to just boast or probably be pompous about or whatever, but they need to know who they are. You understand? An African child will grow up and they don't even know who they are, and all the time an African child will be thinking the white person is like the supreme human, he's like whatever, but no, that is not true. Even in our churches, they don't even teach it, and that is the saddest part. But I'm hoping and praying that somehow, someday, these things will change and schools will pick up some of these histories and they will teach the children, especially the African child, so that they will get to know who they really, really, really are. Thank you so much for watching.